Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Come here and you will like it. If you don't want it, then don't buy it. So much options, don't fight it. Pick all you want, we don't mind it. We're all kind, we all grind. The best restaurant that will change your mind. You will love us, you will come back for more. Our food will have you running through that door. Look, taco wings and things is the best. And no time will be better than the rest. We're not shy, we spend time with our guests. I thank God, I feel like we're blessed. Look, taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things.
So, last year you work around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane! You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advanced loans.
It's insightful, it's factual, it's Flexx News and Sports Daily at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. on the only station that matters, Flexx FM.
The following program contains language and scenes that some viewers might find objectionable. Discretion in viewing is advised.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Tenny Miller Live, a special program that we carry on podcast every week. We are one of those programs that which we say we are not the repository of information, but we try our best to provide answers to some of the issues which exist in and around the community, in the diaspora, and certainly here in South Florida where we are located. Now, last week we had quite an interesting discussion with the mayor of Lauderhill, as he spoke on quite in depth with regards to the kind of a preparation that they're making for the coronavirus and how the community and the various first responders and members of the community are, addressing the issue. This week we hope to be able to speak to some other aspect of it, and certainly we're going to go overseas to Jamaica. We should be going into Trinidad and Barbados. Certainly we are not that selfish. We are a Caribbean focused program, but most of us here in the South Florida area are Jamaicans, and even there are a lot of other nationalities will tell that they are wannabe Jamaicans, so to speak, or they have a relative or friend in Jamaica. So how are you? Good evening and welcome to the program, and it's good to be here with you again on another Wednesday afternoon. We should be doing an additional program next Monday, so they're adding another program to the week's schedule. So on Monday we'll be coming to you live, then on Wednesday, of course. Next Monday we should be speaking with the Jamaica Consulate General of Jamaica here for the southern region, is Honorable Mr. What's our Consul General? Oh my God, don't tell me I forget the gentleman's name, and he's such an outstanding gentleman. Mr. Oh God, forgive me. Oh, it's embarrassing, isn't it? Yes. Mr. Oh, what? Yes, our Consul General. Now, our Consul General of Jamaica. Oh, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor. Please forgive me, Mr. Muir, if you're watching. Forgive my manners, so I haven't forgotten your name. You know what, I'm a little bit hungry, must forgive me. So that's what, and at my age, when you're hungry, you tend to have a slight bit of amnesia. But this afternoon, we should be speaking with a distinguished Jamaican son who is no stranger to South Florida area. Sometimes you wonder if he lives here or he lives in Jamaica, because he really likes the diaspora, and perhaps he should be the next ambassador here. But we're speaking of Minister, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, who is our Minister of Tourism. We should be speaking to Minister Bartlett in a minute or two, and we'll be looking at how the tourist industry in Jamaica is being affected by this outbreak of this worldwide virus that's affecting the rest of the world, the coronavirus. Fine. So please stay tuned. When Minister Bartlett joins us online, we'll be happy to really introduce him to you and get into a full discussion with regards to that. We're also hoping later on in the program that we might have Mr. Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, and he might be able to give us a little bit much more personal, in-depth understanding as to what might be happening in the industry there, as Minister Bartlett will speak to the policy and overall aspects of the industry in a much broader and in a much wider terms, and how the whole thing is affecting the national budget and also affecting unemployment generally in the country, and how the government, as a member of the cabinet, is treating with it and the kind of issues that are, you know, the outstanding, and how the government wants the rest of us to be able to provide that kind of a diaspora and international support as we all go through this pain and this world phenomenon, the coronavirus. Apart from that, good evening again, and it's a pleasure to be here. Let me just see if I can catch up on a couple of things now. It says here that this is the news report coming out of Kingston, Jamaica. It says Jamaica now has 25 confirmed cases of the coronavirus disease. 29. It says, also know it's called COVID-19, following the return of 6 additional positive tests over the last 2 days. The 6 new cases are 2 males, both 61 years old, with a travel history that includes Trinidad, London, Egypt, Dubai, and they arrived in Jamaica on March 11th. A 51-year-old Jamaican resident from Westmoreland with no travel history, but who was who was a contact of 2 previously confirmed cases. Wow. A 58-year-old female of Kingston and St. Andrew, addressed with a travel history from France and who returned to Jamaica on March 10th, is added to the list. And of course, there's a 42-year-old male from Westmoreland with a travel history to the United Kingdom who returned to Jamaica on March 12th. A 61-year-old female from Clarendon with a travel history that included New York, Spain, France, and the United Kingdom. She returned to Jamaica on March 18th on flight BA 2263. She contacted the ministry's COVID-19 helpline when symptoms developed. This triggered the rapid response team and she was taken into isolation. And of course, 17 of the now 25 cases, confirmed cases, are imported. 7 are imported related, and one retains under investigation. The data currently shows that more than 16 males and 9 females are confirmed with the COVID-19. And the youngest person to test positive is a 24-year-old, while the oldest is 79 years old. Testing for the virus continues at the National Influenza Center. To date, 150 samples have been tested, and of that number, 25 have returned positive results. 123 have come back negative, and 2 are pending. Some 514 persons have come into the island from a country of interest since January 31st. Of that number, 14 under quarantine in a government facility, and 237 are under some quarantine. The home quarantine members do not include the residents of 7 and 8 miles Bull Bay area, which was part of the first alarm that most of us have been responding to. And of course, or those of Corn Peace in Clarendon. So that's an update as to what's happening with that. And of course, we're here in the United States. It is said that so far over 55,000 persons have seemed to have contracted the disease so far. And of that 55,000, almost 15,000 are in the New York area. So Mayor Como is really troubled and is deeply worried at this time. So, we have to make sure that we speak to our friends and relatives out there in New York. And of course, Florida is an area that is being watched, and the numbers seem to be changing in a very mercurial way in the Florida area. So right now, we're not sure what the numbers are. I should be getting some report out of the office before this program is finished from the Broward Mayor's office, who might be able to give us some, latest figures as to what the situation is at this time here. But we're waiting to be joined by Minister Edmund Bartlett. We're going to perhaps take a quick break. And then when we get back from the outbreak, we should be speaking to Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism in Jamaica, as we look at how the virus outbreak is affecting the economy and the tourism development product in Jamaica. When we get back, this is 10 Miller Live.
Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Come here and you will like it. If you don't want it, then don't buy it. So much options, don't fight it. Pick all you want, we don't mind it. We're all kind, we all grind. The best restaurant that will change your mind. You will love us, you will come back for more. Our food will have you running through that door. Look, taco wings and things is the best, and no time will be better than the rest. We're not shy, we spend time with our guests. I thank God, I feel like we're blessed. Look, taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things.
So, last year you worked around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for, or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane. You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advance loans.
It's insightful, it's factual, it's Flexx News and Sports Daily at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. on the only station that matters, Flexx FM.
Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Come here and you will like it. If you don't want it, then don't buy it. So much options, don't fight it. Pick all you want, we don't mind it. We're all kind, we all grind. The best restaurant that will change your mind. You will love us, you will come back for more. Our food will have you running through that door. Look, Taco Wings and Things is the best, and no time will be better than the rest. We're not shy, we spend time with our guests. I thank God, I feel like we're blessed. Look, Taco Wings, Taco Wings, Taco Wings, Taco Wings and Things.
So, last year you work around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane. You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advanced loans.
It's insightful, it's factual, it's Flexx News and Sports Daily at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. on the only station that matters, Flexx FM.
The following program contains language and scenes that some viewers might find objectionable. Discretion in viewing is advised.
Welcome back to 10 Miller Live, coming to you live from the studios of Flexx FM.online. And of course, the program is 10 Miller Live, and you're on the 10 Miller Live platform, both on Instagram as well as on Facebook. As I mentioned earlier at the start of the program, that we should be speaking with Honorable Edmund Bartlett, but you know, when you deal with political figures of that size, they are subjected to all kinds of, you know, eventualities. And one such eventuality is that he now realizes that he has been called for a special meeting at Parliament, so he has got to get out to go, but then he's going to try and give us a couple of minutes as soon as he has gotten himself situated so that we can get to, you know, get some update as to what's happening with the tourist industry. After Minister Bartlett, then we should be speaking to Mr. Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, and he will be able to give us a further in-depth knowledge and understanding as to what's happening with the tourist industry there in Jamaica. In the meantime, I'll just try to fill you in a little bit of the details here. There was a release that came out from the Office of the Prime Minister in Jamaica, and it says that the public was urged to consider use of alternative sanitation products. Members of the public are being urged to consider the use of alternative means of sanitization in light of the threat of the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19. All right. Against the background of some brand of disinfectants and brand sanitizers which are in high demand, Minister of State in the Ministry of Industry and Commerce and Agriculture Fisheries, Honorable Floyd Green, who made the call, said that there are other products that are readily available in the marketplace for use, because you know, here in South Florida and parts of the United States, there have been some challenges as it relates to what's going on with the situation. And of course, most of us went into some of the, you know, major supermarkets and to Walmart and places like that, and we have not been able to find, you know, some basic Lysol or any one of those disinfectants and deodorizers. We do appreciate that there are some product lines that are in high demand, and a number of those would be manufactured overseas. However, we think it is very important that people recognize that there are alternatives and that the alternatives are in solid supply. He said a number of these are even more effective than some of the ones we have grown accustomed to. We are working with other private sector partners and the Consumer Affairs Commission, which will do their own promotion of the suggested alternatives, he added. And of course, Mr. Green went on to say he was speaking at a meeting held 3 days ago at the Ministry of Agriculture Commerce at Hope Gardens. Fine? And he was also speaking in the presence of some manufacturers and distributors of disinfectant, such as alcohol, rubbing alcohol, bleach, and some other stuff, including some which are used by farmers and so on. He noted that local producers of sanitization products will also be ramping up production, and manufacturing of those hours. Manufacturing hours have got to be increased in order to be able to meet the demand and to fulfill whatever demand that might be required of the government and the marketplace. Paramount Trading suppliers of chemical raw materials have indicated that they will be making available certain raw materials at low cost to some suppliers to produce its necessary sanitization products. Rum distillers, J. Ray and Nephew, has also continued to making, they committed to making 100,000 liters of pure alcohol available to the national health sector to ease the pressure on sanitization essentials. And of course, if you listen to the man in the rum bar, there's some rum bar people telling that because they drink white rum, they have reduced their chances of getting the virus, because the alcohol in Jamaica is so strong that you lessen the chance of getting the virus. So they sanitize with both in terms of the inside and the outside sanitization. I myself do use some of it, not just for libation purposes, but certainly to help me with my protective mechanism as well. Meanwhile, Mr. Green is cautioning the public against the use of inferior products, which purports to be useful to sanitization as well as making of certain ingredients. We have asked our National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, NCRA, to focus on items such as disinfectants and hand sanitizers, the products which are in high demand, and what we do not want are inferior products being passed off to consumers and given a false sense of safety when they do not contain the requisite ingredients, he informed the public. And of course, the chief executive of the NCRA, Laurcia Edwards Brown, also echoed the sentiments of the minister, and she emphasized that her entity will continue to do the necessary research and not all products out there can do the job that they are purported to do. So people have been warned. And of course, they have been advising the people to stick to the information being given by the necessary authorities, and it is a joint government approach dealing with this issue. And joint meaning that it's the various departments of government which might have responsibility for any aspect of safety and precaution and sanitization. They are working with this, which also, of course, include the Office of Disaster Preparedness, the Office of the Senior Medical Officer, and the various other entities which are involved in that process. So that's one item that's coming out of there. As we still wait to get an opportunity to speak with Minister Bartlett, we can so get him. Now, Prime Minister Holness has also announced that the Corn Peace community in the parish of Clarendon is now under quarantine for 14 days. The community was quarantined following the first reported death as a result of COVID-19, a man who is believed to have traveled to Jamaica from New York on a JetBlue flight 2059 on March 12th. Fine? So anyone who might have a relative or friend who went down to Jamaica on March 12th, please to make sure that if they have not yet been contacted, but you know that they might have gone down at that time and, they would have been on that flight, it might be advisable to ask them to go check with the ministry or the health department within their parish or their community so that they can have themselves checked out just in case, right? A word of prevention is better than, a pound of prevention is better than an ounce of cure. Of course, that announcement was made a couple of nights ago in Parliament following the Prime Minister's 2020 budget presentation. It is believed that the deceased stayed in the community of Corn Peace during the period of his visit while ill and had contact with several persons within the community. According to Prime Minister Holness, the quarantine is to facilitate investigations that could lead to early detection of symptoms and prevention of transmission of the deadly COVID-19. So all the people in that area since the 19th or the 20th have been under quarantine. So if you can find your relatives and friends there, you can check in to see what's going on there. Prime Minister went on to say that it is critical that they are monitored closely within the next 14 days Early detection of symptoms will allow for early isolation and prevention of transmission of the virus. At this time, we are unsure of the number of persons in the community that may have been so exposed, and the requirements are that the community and the family comply with the quarantine order to conduct the necessary contact tracing and investigation, said the Prime Minister. You know, one of the things that confronts our society, you know, our country, Jamaica, is this whole business of discipline. And Jamaica's survival, in terms of how we approach this, this outbreak, is going to depend upon the level of discipline which is demonstrated by the average Jamaican man and woman. I called into a community in the Maxfield area earlier this afternoon, and the Walton Park area, before I came on the program. And one of the things that greeted me coming from the community was that most persons there still have not yet fathomed or have not yet taken the idea of the outbreak quite seriously. I understand that some persons that just said, sure, perhaps it's just people are foreign to affect it, not affect us in Jamaica. But in truth and in fact, this is a very serious thing. And as many persons who are listening to this program in Jamaica and across the diaspora, please tell your friends and relatives in Jamaica that this is not something to play with, because if it is allowed to get out of hand, then there's going to be starvation on the land, because no workplace and no business place will be able to open. The bread shop will not be able to open. The baker will not be able to bake bread. Fine? The persons who are dealing with the distribution of food and the various supermarkets might not have people to come to work, because people, for their own preservation, will want to stay home. So the supermarkets will not necessarily be operating unless the owners of the supermarket themselves are going to be opening one door and giving you a chance to be able to go through another one. So we're asking people, please, call your friends and relatives, and those of you who are listening in the diaspora and in Jamaica, make sure that you take the warning of the senior medical officer, the government and the Office of Disaster Preparedness, the local government authority, and the police department very seriously. And do not exceed the limit of the permission which is allowed for you to be able to go and go out of your community or to come back in, or to just want to just be able to freely run. And you have a tendency where some people feel, say, boy, I'm just going down the road to get a spliff. Or I'm just going to go down to the shop to buy some sugar for him, baby, because the baby this. You have had time and you have had warnings. Fine? Trim your lamp with oil, because when the time comes, you will not be able to get back inside when the door locks. So a word to the wise is sufficient. Please, it's absolutely important. And as it is mentioned, you must treat the situation as if to say you have the virus. So apart from washing your hands, and you can't wash it too often, fine? If you have to go on the street for an emergency purpose, make sure that you have your can of Lysol or you have your disinfectant, so you can be able to do some, you know, disinfect your hands and your body and whatever. And if you have to take the clothes and throw them into the washing machine, just to be on the safe side, because they are still trying to find out the various means by which this disease is transmitted. One so far, or the common one so far, is that when you come in contact, physical contact, or within proximity of a distance of somebody, you know, the splatter on the breath or whatever, it comes on the air if they are close, you are in proximity to somebody. But then they are still not yet final. None of that is final, because as they test, they are trying to find out, investigating the information to find out how did this person get it, what or who they came in contact with, where they were, what they were doing, how many other persons were in the environment, what were the nature of the activity, so that they can also find out if in addition to the personal contact or the close contact with another person, individual, whether or not there are other methods or means by which people will be able to get, you know, affected by this disease. So once you're not sure, you know, prevent is better than cure. So you disinfect your stuff, you make sure that and when you leave the street and you come straight into your house, do not walk into the kitchen and put your hand on the stove or put your hand on the pot to look what's going on, what's inside there for dinner, or to go to the refrigerator right away and you might be contaminated, and you hold on to the door of the refrigerator and you look inside there. You don't want anything, but you're just looking, and then you put it back, and then the small child comes after you and they hold on to the door and they go inside there too, and they take out food and they put in their mouth and they hold on to the food and they put their hand in their mouth, and the next you know, it becomes a whole potpourri of, you know, mess. So prevention is always better than cure. Treat your kids with, you know, as like they quarantine them. Make sure that when you just come from the road, you do not get in contact with your child or your children in the house. Fine? Before that, when you go to the house, knock on your door as if to say you're a stranger. Where are you? Where are the kids? Send them to the back room. Tell them to lock the door. Fine? When you get in, you go straight to the bathroom or wherever you have to do some washing. You wash your hands. If you know you were busy in contact with other individuals, you know, where you were or on the street or at the job, take off those clothes in the bathroom. Leave them there. Throw them into the tub if you have to, and turn on the hot water on them and throw some Dettol or something on it, and then you wring it out and then you can throw it into the washing machine or dump it into the washing machine same time and put the necessary disinfectant inside there or soap or whatever it is that you need to put in there, so that you protect yourself, you protect your children, you protect the household. Because if it breaks out, it's not just the food you have to worry about in terms of not having enough food to feed them after an extended time, but you're going to have some situation where you're going to have to deal with a medical condition on your hands and you can't take care of them at home. They have to go to the hospital, so therefore no, that person is going to be sick, you're going to be sick, end up in the hospital, and nobody can come look for you because those persons are likely to come to the hospital and contract it. Because the fact that it's a hospital don't mean that it's 100% safe. So, like they say, behave as though you are a carrier of the disease, and by virtue of that, you make sure that you try to make sure that you keep yourself out of it. Keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep your children safe. This is the program is 10 Miller Live, and we're coming to you live from Flexx FM.online and on the 10 Miller Live platform here, as well as on Instagram and on Facebook. There's a situation where there are two parents at home, a wife and a husband, and they have a young baby. And the wife, because the doctor has to go to his practice in the days, the wife decides that, well, she will stay home, look after the baby, look after the house, but then they don't come in contact with each other. The husband stays in a separate area of the house, and the wife and the child stays in a separate area of the house, because he's not sure when he's likely to be walking home with something. And as careful as they can try to be, and he's a medical doctor, they take no chances at home. And the wife stays, and every time he comes in or he leaves out of the house, the place is sanitized and it's wiped out and it's kept, you know, in a particular way. And the baby's room is kept in a condition as such. Before she goes back into the room, she makes sure that she has on a fresh set of clothes, and she makes sure she put on a fresh set of gloves and put on a fresh mask, so that you don't carry anything inadvertently in the area where the child is. Because the child is just like, is even much more susceptible and sensitive than the elderly person who is at 65 or 75. And those people are regarded as some of the most vulnerable. There are some young persons out there who are listening to this program and who have, and some of you have your young son and daughters at home. They are into technology. So they have the laptop and they have the, you know, the telephone, and they have the tablet. And they'll talk to the friends next door, and they go next door and they swap technology, or the game, and say, boy, lend me your control for your game now. And him say, yes, I'll drop it off or I send it up. And these things have to be sanitized. Don't bring them in the house. So make sure you check with the children. Make sure you find out what's happening with them. Find out who they're contacting. And even if Mary Jane parents is a preacher from Heaven Street, that don't mean that them can't catch it. So if you're borrowing a control or a tablet or a whatever, make sure that you have those things sanitized before you allow your child to use them. Or no, borrow none. Stay a yard and don't borrow nothing until when the time comes when, you know, you get an official, okay, so well, you know, it's going now, these particular areas are more or less, not necessarily free, but there's some amount of reduction, and therefore there's the possibility of the whole thing being spread too wide, or as far as, you know, too far, is being contained. Otherwise than that, it will be, they say, talk about a pandemic, it will be a pandemic multiplied by, you know, cube pandemic. Because it can get out of hand. This is the first time the entire world is coming to this brink of total this kind of a the disaster that is affecting the world in such a fast way, and in such a, you know, it's like another world war, or, you know, almost as damaging as a world war. And even in the world war, there are some countries that perhaps were not affected during the world war directly necessarily. Some might have been producing things to support the other country in the war, but certainly not necessarily directly affected. This one, every single country on planet Earth is not exempted. I beg your pardon. Is not exempted because things cannot. No. The cough is not done me. Is that my producer going to be getting me some water in a short while, but it's just from talking. But certainly, nobody is exempted from this. So we're asking everyone, please, on your guard. Please be careful. You have to be thinking straight. You have to be thinking correctly. Make sure that you check yourself, or you're going to wreck yourself. 10 Miller Live coming to you on Flexx FM radio and of course on 10 Miller platform and of course on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Fine? So I can't warn you enough. We're going to take another break. When we come back from this now, apparently we might not be able to catch the minister because like he apologized because he was scheduled to be here with us, but he apologized. He had a call from Speaker of the House saying that there's a very, very urgent matter that they have to attend to at Parliament. So he was actually at home. So he had to get dressed and get himself organized, and he hadn't planned for that. But then that's the nature of the beast that he lives in. And it related to how they're managing some aspect of the corona situation. So some decisions, and his presence is required to be there. If we get an opportunity to have him back with us on Monday, then we certainly will look at that. Monday we hopefully should have the Consulate General of Jamaica to be speaking to us. If not from inside here, certainly we'll be able to link him online and have him on our video camera so that we'll be able to have a discussion with him. So we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to see if we can catch up with Mr. Omar Robinson, the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. This is 10 Minute Live. Stick and stay. Don't go away.
Ready? Yeah, you know. No disease, no disease. No disease, no disease. No disease, no disease. We no want no disease. Well, right. Corona. Trouble with the speed, but you no Corolla. Pandemic disease, try to make it hold you. Them a say, it's a disease, stop it, Ebola. Corona. Tell him man a push like it is stroller. Pull up a bleach, let a land for Bilosa. Me a tell you, China make it hold you. Weapon of mass elimination, designed to reduce the population. Country lockdown, penetration. See they don't nobody can pass immigration. Them a say it designed for the Asian nation. Out of the lava where it came from. Melchizedek had a ministry from the bitters and the herbs and the healing for the nation. Everyone a run from COVID-19. Them scared of the COVID-19. School lockdown cause of COVID-19. Now see no income cause of COVID-19. Oh, COVID-19. Them scared of the COVID-19. Chocolate and busy, me no want see no ice cream. Immune system up the up like the hygiene. See, Corona. Trouble with the speed, but you're not Corolla. Pandemic disease, try to make it hold you. Them a say, it's a disease of the Ebola. Corona. Tell him man a push like it is stroller. Pull up a beer, get a line for Bilosa. Me a tell you, China make it hold you. Careful are you a wear face mask. So that China the mask them make. The hand sanitizer sell off as a man cough. Is a license spray fasting get. Must me see a disease where they cough like jet. And that the man sneeze and it cause him death. You see what that? Nobody not take no chance. Every man a check before them make any step. Cause everybody afraid of the COVID-19. Them afraid of the COVID. Chocolate and busy team. Me no want see no ice cream. Immune system of the up like the hygiene. See, Corona. Travel with the speed but on the Corolla. Pandemic disease try to make it hold you. Them a say, it's a disease of the Ebola. Corona. Tell him man a push like it is stroller. Pull up a bleed, get a land for Bilosa. Sure. See that show you. Get that. Alright. No disease. We no want no disease. The disease. Load that to the Chinese, Japanese. No disease. Give me no disease. We no want no disease. Me I tell you about run away.
Last year you worked around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane. You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advanced loans.
It's insightful, it's factual, it's Flexx News and Sports Daily at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. on the only station that matters, Flexx FM.
The following program contains language and scenes that some viewers might find objectionable. Discretion in viewing is advised.
Ready? Welcome back. This is Tenny Miller Live, coming to you from the studios of Flexx FM FlexxFM.online, and of course the Tenny Miller Live platform on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and welcome once again to the program. We're looking at the virus this afternoon and how the virus is affecting all family and friends there in Jamaica. We just at this time want to welcome those persons in Atlanta who just joined us. The Consul General's office, Ms. Sheridan Winter, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. And those people in Maryland, as I see that we found out when we was on our break, tuned in. Thank you for joining us and being a part of the show this afternoon. So earlier we spoke to the fact that the Jamaica tourist industry is being affected seriously. And Minister Bartlett had to rush off to Parliament because he got called. He was at home in his home clothes. Right? It wasn't his pajama, just in his home clothes. A producer said him that the man was in his pajama. Producer man was not in his pajama at home. He's a working man, so even if he's at home, but then he had to get dressed for Parliament. So we're not able to have him for the rest of the afternoon. We're hoping that we'll be able to have him fully on Monday. And of course, on Monday, we're also open to have the Jamaica Consul General, who will be Mr. Mayor, who will be sharing with us sometime during the afternoon, whether 2 or 4 o'clock, depending on his availability and what else might fall on his agenda. We'll be really looking forward to having him. And hopefully, again, on the Wednesday, we should be able to, or we're hoping also to have, again, depending on how the virus moves the time, because the virus now dictates the movement of man across the world, not the other way around. So, if the virus so oblige us, based on the movements of those persons, then we might be able to speak to the Minister of Health next week, Honorable Christopher Tufton, next Wednesday, so that we can provide some update to Jamaicans here in the diaspora. So first time from him, the minister, exactly what's going on and how it's affecting the rest of us here. We are hoping now to be joined by Mr. Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. I don't know, we're able to catch him online at all? Otherwise, is he there? It's coming. Well, Laura, we'll be joined by Mr. Robinson in a short time. With that, then we'll be able to speak to some more details as to what's happening with the Jamaica Tourist Board and the tourism product of Jamaica. Good afternoon, Mr. Omar.
I can barely hear you.
I don't know what. Let's check my microphone and stuff to make sure that. Omar? All right, wait. If you're hearing me, just give us a second there. We have a little bit of a issue that with they say the inconvenience of modern day convenience sometimes do get up, come on you like a virus. But we should be speaking. Mr. Omar Robinson. Mr. Robinson. We're trying to catch up with Mr. Omar Robinson. Are you there, sir? Mr. Omar Robinson is the president of Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. and he should be speaking to us from perhaps Rowley Hill in Montego Bay, or from his office somewhere in Montego Bay. So we're just trying to get the technology right so that we're able to speak to him. Mr. Robinson, are you there? Not yet? I don't know if he's hearing us at all. No, I don't know. We're having a little bit of a challenge with the technology in the meantime. But some of the things that we're hoping that Mr. Roberts will be able to speak to for us is that I'd like to, who might be the first responders of the tourist industry, who, apart from the national first responders, if there are some special, set of first responders within the industry, and at this time, whether or not the industry really was really prepared for a situation like this of this magnanimity. Are we there? Omar, are you there? Mr. Robinson? The inconvenience of modern day convenience, really. Hello? Mr. Robinson, are you there? I would perhaps might have to try and get him online on WhatsApp online, perhaps. Producers, you want us to go to a quick break and then we try and catch him and come back online? Okay, fine. Let's go to a quick break and we come back. We try and catch Mr. Robinson one way or the other so we can have him either audio or audio visual. When we get back, this is Tenny Miller Live.
Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things. Come here and you will like it. If you don't want it, then don't buy it. So much options, don't fight it. Pick all you want, we don't mind it. We're all kind, we all grind. The best restaurant that will change your mind. You will love us, you will come back for more. Our food will have you running through that door. Look, taco wings and things is the best, and no time will be better than the rest. We're not shy, we spend time with our guests. I thank God, I feel like we're blessed. Look, taco wings, taco wings, taco wings. Taco wings and things.
So, last year you work around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for, or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane. You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advance loans.
Welcome back to the show. This is Tenny Miller Live, coming to you from the studios of Flexx FM.online radio, and of course Tenny Miller Live platform, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Welcome again, and thank you for staying with us this afternoon. The subject is Corona. Online with me is one of our special guests this afternoon, Mr. Omar Robinson. Omar, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Are we able to?
Good afternoon to your listeners.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Omar, you are the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How long have you been in that office now? Like, seems like forever.
It's almost 4 years. So I'm on to my last 3 months, and I think this must be my crown that goes with the end.
Your crown in glory. Or somehow somebody seemed to have it out for you and decided to send this unto you.
I was hoping to sail off into the sunset, you know.
No such luck. Sorry for you. I spoke to Minister earlier today, and he thought that you have been doing such a good job. So I just wanted to also share the sentiments that I realized that we have felt your effects across the waters as well as a president of the JHTA. You have been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Now, Omar, tell me first of all, did the tourist board, in its wisdom, had envisaged anything of this magnitude to befall it, and therefore would have had some kind of an answer or response in a very positive way to it?
Actually, the JTB, the ministry, we were watching the situation over in China. Mm-hmm. However, we never, thought it would have. Well, we never thought it would have come so quickly. Mm-hmm. We had expected it to come across, but not in the manner in which it did. And the spread the contagion has been phenomenal. So it was just from one week to the next, one day to the next, and it just caused a ripple effect right through the
it just crept up on you like a thief in the night.
Yes.
But in a situation like this, though, Omar, does the industry have what you call a set of first responders? And
yes,
who might those persons be outside of the national team of first responders?
Yes, and we have in this case we created a set of protocols that we distributed to all tourist entities, cruise shipping, hotels, attractions. We identified COVID coordinators in the properties. So we had a very good response team, which was led by a stakeholder management team headed by the minister and key private and public sector partners.
So, and of course, the ODP would have been a part of this?
They would have been, no, we are actually doing the tourism response. ODPM would have been part of the Prime Minister's
and the national response overall.
Disaster Risk Management Committee.
And they would have been part of the national response team overall?
Yes, they're part of the national response team, yes.
No, tell me, who are the people most affected by this kind of a fallout now? And what kind of a treatment is being looked at to address this?
On what kind of?
Treatment. Looked at to address this.
The entire tourism industry in Jamaica is affected. And it's similar to what's happening in other jurisdictions. What we have seen is a significant fall off of visitors to the island. With the closing of borders, we have seen a wholesale reduction in our visitors. This started off with Europe, later followed by Canada, and now since the we have seen lots of cancellations. The pace of forward bookings has slowed drastically, and then last week the U.S. State Department issued a global level for health advisory for American citizens not to travel. So, and those who are abroad to return home. So what we've seen over the last week are all repatriation flights. So at this point, I would think by the end of the month, most hotels should shutter their operations. And this is attractions, this is the craft vendors, this is your transportation sector, all the Juta tour operators, the inbound shops. Everybody would have been impacted by this.
So you're saying that by the end of this month here or the middle of next month, the entire industry will grind to a halt?
Yes, it's actually in free fall mode now. The ones who may remain open, and we're actually doing a survey now. Most hotels will be closed for some have outrightly said they're closing for 2 months. Some they're doing it until the end of the month, end end of April rather, and just do a month by month assessment of what is happening. But I think the hotels that have a strong local clientele, more or less the business hotels, i.e. your Kingston hotels, that would probably remain open, and in those cases they would have probably reduced some levels of their amenity, that have contracted their services just to keep their expenses in line. But as far as resorts go, they will more or less all come down to a complete halt.
And every level of staff within the resorts would have been affected across the board, both management as well as the various workers at different level.
Every level. I'm telling you, this is unprecedented. It's something that we have never seen. It wasn't like this with 9/11. It wasn't like this with the 2008 economic crisis. It wasn't like this with SARS in 2003-4. This is actually global, and it's impacting all of our source markets. And there's just this global downturn, in business, and it's a health crisis first and foremost.
Yes.
And of course, it will trickle down into an economic crisis, which we're hoping, it would all depend. We're heartened by the rate at which I think China and Asia has been able to contain their spread now. I think that they have already peaked. We're at the stage over in the West where the numbers are still growing. We still have not yet peaked. We're closely monitoring what's happening in the US, because that will determine how quickly tourism rebounds.
Yeah, but your major market has always been United States, huh?
Yes, a good 65-70% of our business from New York, from the US, and out of that, I would think another at least 60-65% from the Northeast region, with New York being a central hub.
Wow.
So New York being the epicenter is really, it will impact us negatively. And as I said, how quickly they can able to contain and manage their situation there will determine what happens for us in terms of a recovery.
We're having a discussion with Mr. Omar Robinson. Mr. Robinson is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association of Jamaica, and he's there now, with a seismic challenge on his hand in this last quarter of the last 3 months of his reign as president over the last 4 years. Omar, really, my heart goes out to you and the challenge that you have to face at this time. Now, with regards to the grinding of the industry to a halt, is there a discussion with the Ministry of Finance and the Labor Department in terms of what kind of a reconciliation, if that is the correct term, that one can find? Or because I'm not sure the government will have the budgetary support to be able to, take on the industry alone by itself, at least about the other areas of fallout in the other industries there. But is this the kind of a thing on the table now being looked at for discussion?
Yes, most definitely. We had initial discussions with both the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Finance, and we were able we were pleased with what the minister has come with as a first option. And this was mainly geared towards the staff. I think they will get unemployment benefits for those properties, for those entities who keep their employees on some payroll of some sort. They'll get money towards they'll be reimbursed based on how many employees they keep on.
So, but you'll be able to carry their payroll as it is established, or a percentage of the payroll?
No,
over
a percentage. A percentage. I think the government has agreed to do $9,000 Jamaican every 2 weeks. So again, this is the first time something like this has ever happened.
Yes.
It is.
So there's no protocol to deal with it.
Pardon me?
There is no established methodology.
Right. So we're working out all the details now. The tourism entities. He has the minister, prime minister, and the minister of finance. They have agreed to put aside $1.2 billion Jamaican in terms of grants for the industry. and small businesses will get up to $100,000 in grants. So there's a number of avenues to help rescue, especially the small businesses, which is and the small tourism entities, which are very an important element of the tourism product. Those there, we just heard about those, so they're working out the logistics of these things. Again, there'll be more dialogue between industry, the JHTA, the different associations, and the Ministry of Finance, so that we can get these, readily paid out. I think by early April.
But we're speaking with Omar Robinson, who's the president of Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. Yeah, the program is Tenny Miller Live. I am your host, Roy Tenny Miller. Omar, as you look at it and as I hear you speak, one of the things, the multiplier effect of the tourism industry, especially in the resort areas, is just, enormous. There are still quite a number of persons who are indirectly dependent upon the industry.
Yes, there is, and I think there's even a program for the farmers. There's even a stimulus program for the farmers that the Minister of Finance has announced yesterday. So it's far-reaching. Tourism is our fastest growing industry in Jamaica. It is actually the largest foreign exchange earner, employing 125,000 persons directly and an additional 200,000 indirectly. So, a lot of those persons would have been impacted by this.
There are going to be methodologies worked out so that the appropriate persons, because in any system like that, there are going to be some freeloaders. So, how you plan to address those?
There'll be a lot of verification at both the organizational and the individual level to ensure that, there is no fraudulent, nobody who is getting it that's unwarranted. And so, all of that will come into effect, I would think, from now on until we're working out the logistics.
Is there a kind of a projected time framework that all of this is measured against and juxtaposed against, or you're just going to have to deal with a carry-on basis and watch how the whole process evolves?
Well, he has only made allocations for up to June, and we're hopeful that this thing will start. It all depends on when the US, but the provision is made up until June, and then but he did say that there could be allocations in the new budget for further assistance. So that is to be seen. How long this thing prolongs.
With regards to, and I thank you for that kind of explanation, so that the rest of us here, because Jamaicans here in the diaspora now who have relatives and friends in the industry, of course, we have our own share of challenges here, but then we might be able to see how we can find ways to lend assistance to those relatives there who might be suffering much greater than the others. But as we look at it though, Omar, with regards to going forward, the industry will now have to take into consideration something like this so that you don't get caught with your pants down again. And like you say, it's unprecedented for sure. But there's got to be a new thinking going forward as it relates to how you're prepared for disasters of unproportioned quality.
Yes, and it's all part of we have established a global resilience center because tourism is resilient. It will bounce back.
Yes.
So it's all part of what was already being implemented at the University of the West Indies, the first global tourism resilience center that's working with both private and public sector, so that we can more or less anticipate these things. Again, we're a smaller developing nation, so a lot of our effects are really based on what happens in the developed countries. Even though we can try and bolster ourselves as much as possible, it all depends on we're tourism dependent. That there's no two ways about it. So even with the greatest of prevention, you're going to just look at how well you can ride out the storm as opposed to 100% prevention. How well you can quickly bounce back. And I know we're actually in the process. We're in dialogue with the Jamaica Tourist Board about a recovery because there will be a recovery sooner than later, I hope. And we have to come back out there to say yes, we're ready, we're strong, and we're ready to welcome visitors.
But within the context of a recovery planning and program, what kind of a 1, 2, 3 steps that would be required to deal with a recovery process in this regard, Omar?
As I said, it's in the planning stages now, but one is to just get a message out there initially to say, look, Jamaica will be here. When this thing all cleans up, it's reaching out to your travel agent, your tour operators. A lot of our business is based on relationships. So it's reaching out to those persons in the travel trade, reaching out to your airlines, because even the startup again will all depend on how quickly the airlines will choose to put back planes on the routes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things are actually taking place. There's discussions. There are discussions taking place with the tour operators, the airlines. In the meantime, even though all of this is happening, so it's about maintaining relationships.
So, in terms of how you reactivate and reignite your relationships, it means that they might have to have a special ambassador for tourism appointed, so that that person will be able to spend some time on the road, working through the various locations across the world to speak to tour operators and travel agents.
Well, I think that the JTB has representation in a broad representation across the world.
Mm-hmm.
But the minister himself is a good brand ambassador.
Oh yes.
And I think he has developed that reputation where he's believable.
Mm-hmm. And he's credible.
And credible. So he will lead that charge.
Okay, good. So we'll look forward to something like that. We sit and wait now. You say there's a strategic plan being developed as we speak to be able to deal with going forward. What about your various partners? I know you speak somewhat about some of your partners, but like the Caribbean Tourist Association and other associations which you're a part of worldwide. Are there any kind of a support that might be given to our small developing industry in one way or the other? Is there any thinking towards that, or any possibility for that to happen?
Yes, you'll be knocking heads and see how best as a region we can launch the Caribbean again. Because one, you're doing your individual marketing, but there's also the benefits of regional marketing, which through the Caribbean Hotel and Tourist Association. They can provide some additional reach and just different avenues. So there is actually collaboration with them from a hotel association. There's also the Caribbean Tourism Organization, the TO, and we're drawing on all those resources and all the individuals there. A lot of it is all the networking to see how best we can collaborate as a region.
So in terms of money spending and deal with the collaboration, there are going to be somewhat joint Caribbean marketing of the region.
I couldn't say right now, but the possibility exists. Yes.
So that would be part of the new thinking, I would imagine.
Right.
But from where you sit and in the industry, do you see that as something that should have been a part of should be forefront in terms of how we deal with the development of the industry across the Caribbean? And in Jamaica, and the benefits coming to Jamaica in that regard?
Well, I know the minister has approached this approach through multi-destination marketing, where we have actually collaborated with a number of countries to do, somewhat of an island hopping type of experience, especially for your long haul visitors. The challenge is CARICOM. Each entity wants to be their own individual, entity, for want of a better word. So yes, there are some things you collaborate on, and some things which they do individually. But I know as a group of islands that are selling a similar experience, I think there's a lot to be gained by doing some joint marketing as a region, with each island offering its own specialty that will cater to a different segment of the market.
But is it? But would that be a question of?
Will take place moving forward as a region.
As a region, but that's a more or less. Is it a question of a political will, or just persons feel that, well, I don't want my money to mix up with the people from Barbados or from Trinidad, as the case might be.
I can't, CARICOM. For me, it would be nice. Again, it's what everybody has to put their heart and soul into it to want to market as a complete region. Mm-hmm. But will we get there? Maybe. But I know we all have to knock heads in terms of resilience, in terms of, because we're all tourism dependent. None of us have tourism is our main industry in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So the more we can collaborate, the more we can become a stronger force. Mm-hmm. I know, especially when it comes to the cruise shipping, we see all the cruise ships are pulled out. Which we are a strong. If we get together, we're a stronger unit to negotiate with the cruise ships. And it's just for us to take the lead, or somebody to take the lead, and try and bring everybody together to the table.
I hope Ed Bartlett might be able to be in a position to carry that.
And I'm sure Minister Bartlett is well respected enough to do so.
And we're speaking to Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. He's speaking to us from his office in Round the Hill in Montego Bay, Jamaica. I'm your host, Roy Tenny Miller. The program is Tenny Miller Live. Omar, just before you leave us, you have now done 4 years in the industry. Congratulations.
I've done 4 years in the Hotel Association. I've done 30 years in the industry.
30 years in the industry and 4 years in the association. Looking back, what were your major challenges at the association to begin with?
The thing is, Jamaica has, we have our social woes in Jamaica. But the brand Jamaica is strong, and besides, you put all that aside, brand Jamaica is strong, and I've seen over the 4 years, we've seen continuous growth. Jamaica has soul among all the other islands that have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Jamaica gives a combination of everything. So I think, has it been a challenge? Somewhat in some aspects, but overall, I would say it has been a positive experience. It has been good collaborating. I've seen a lot of collaboration with even more collaboration with the public and private sector as we all work towards growing brand Jamaica, increasing brand awareness, and we have seen the linkages increase over the years. Whether it's your agriculture, whether it's your manufacturing, we've seen the entertainment, all of those. We've grown festivals and events. So and how all of this trickled down to the small man, because it actually, tourism is supposed to benefit the man on the street, So that for me has been rewarding, because I've seen it advance. It started under Minister McNeil, Dr. McNeil, mm-hmm. The linkages, and it was expanded on by Minister Bartlett. So both ministers deserve the credit. I think what has been good over the years is both ministers are very strong, and they've actually they've built on the policies that each one has left behind.
Okay, great. So there's no one-upmanship kind of a thing. So there's no one-upmanship involved in there, but one build and then the other takes it to the next level, as it
right. So both of them deserve credit. Both Dr. McNeil and Minister Bartlett deserve credit for advancing tourism, which has continued to grow year over year. We're not sure where we'll end up this year with this global crisis, but we know definitely that we are resilient. We will come back, in the years to come, and Jamaica will continue to be a dominant player in the tourism industry.
Omar, you spoke briefly a while ago to the trickle down effect, and there are quite a number of persons out there will say, boy, I know from a business that the big people business that are owning the hotel, I get that and that sort of thing. You are both in the hotel as well as you're in the association. How much have been reaching the small man on the Clapham bus?
It a lot has reached, but it can we do better? Yes, we can do better, but we must all, if tourism is important to the country, we must all buy into tourism. And it means, what does it mean? It means keeping the country clean, not throwing things through the window. It means a certain sort of law and order, and not the harassment and all of those things, because people want, contrary to what people think, that visitors, we want to keep the visitors in the four walls of the hotels. Absolutely not. We want people to go out and experience Jamaica. However, and we do advocate for that. However, the realities are there, and sometimes, as much as possible, people want to go out, but there are their own trepidations, and that's where we all have to get into tourism being the lifeblood of the country.
Yeah, I won't start a conversation.
Contribute to tourism, and that's when you're going to see cling down, because you want there are people out there. There's enough visitors that can go to wherever, from your Airbnb accommodations to your hotels to your villas, whatever. There's enough visitors. We want people to go out into the communities and experience true Jamaica. Because that's the only time you can say you've really experienced it. But again, it depends on, it all takes the buy-in. But we've seen a lot of the hotels buying a lot more Jamaican, through the linkages network, they have established, mechanisms for the farmers to get their produce to the hotels at the times when we want it, because there was never that connection, whenever we wanted it, the farmers can't produce it, or they can't produce in the quantities that we needed, but we've seen a lot has been put into that, even in manufacturing. The manufacturers, the production sector has really stepped up their game. They're all producing quality products, and we're pleased, from your smaller mom and pops to your larger organizations. We have hotels that are buying mattresses locally, being made by you have two good mattress companies here, your Macintosh Bedding and Therapeutic makes fantastic quality, high quality beds. Right. We're seeing a lot more of that, and yes, we'll encourage a lot more of our members, a lot more of our tourism entities to continue to buy Jamaican, so that as tourism grows, the rest of the country grows, the rest of the economy, the rest of the industries should grow.
Our conversation this afternoon is
continue to move in that direction.
Our conversation is with Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is I think he's a general manager for Round Hill Hotel, and of course the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association of Jamaica. I just have two quick questions for you, and one of which a listener has asked me to ask you about is that they are concerned that, one, they're not sure the hotels are making enough effort, and in collaboration perhaps with government, and it's a question that I have for Minister Bartlett, to be more inclusive so that the community persons feel that the industry is a part of them a little bit more. Then perhaps more need to be done in that area in terms of how you deal with your outreach. And secondly, one particular lady is concerned as it relates to the hotels are not buying enough Jamaican entertainment. And there's a concern about importation of entertainment within the industry. Can you speak to that in any way?
It is twofold. And as I said to it is our entertainment must also rise to a level where it's professionally packaged. And I've said it to them. It's not the professionalism is important. It means coming to work you're supposed to perform at 9 o'clock. You're ready to go at 9 o'clock. You're properly attired. You have new costumes. You have so some of these things are really as a result of how well we, what sort of professionalism that we have, and sometimes, whilst I'm not in agreement with it, but people rather deal with an entity where they can get a one-stop operation that is professional. As I say, it's the game has been stepped up in the hotels, and as such, the hotels are forced to modernize, and as such, the entertainment, the offerings, everything that we offer must also be stepped up, and part of that too is just looking at what we offer. It's no longer your big mama something. There is a time and a place for that, but it's how it's packaged, and that's something that we really need to look into.
And we agree with you wholeheartedly in terms of you have to step up your game or you're going to really don't get a chance to come to the dance. But one of the things that we have to look at, by virtue of the fact that the industry is juxtaposed a kind of a environment which carries a large mass of people who are a part of the dispossessed, quote unquote, and not get into a political game. But in terms of how you now, as an industry and as an association, begin to take the entertainment department as an industry and see how you can jointly work with, say, a cultural training center or the Edna Manley College and the Montego Bay Community College to see how you can work together to provide opportunities and scholarships and funding so that you can get to develop the quality of the product that comes into the hotel.
There has to be a more symbiotic relationship, a mutually beneficial relationship with industry and the performing arts.
Definitely.
And that's the direction in which we should definitely take it. Yes.
And I hope you might be able to do something about that before you depart your office.
You know what? I all I can hear about now is COVID-19. That all our discussion. But
you're planning for the future. You're planning for the future. So are you talking about legacy?
Yeah. So I will be there in an advisory role even after my tenure ends to assist the in the growth of the industry.
Yeah, but
as I said, the industry is there and the benefits of the industry should be felt by all.
Oh, definitely.
I will reinforce that everybody should be able to feel and touch the benefits of tourism, from the man on the street, your pan chicken man, to your nightclubs, your bars. Everybody, your entertainers, everybody, but we must also know that, we also have to step up our game. Where
the quality and the standard has got to be high, otherwise and that the tourists are going to go elsewhere. And as a result of which, you want
it to be authentic. You want it to be authentic, but it can still be authentic, but offered in a way where it's a truly Jamaican experience.
It must be rich in the Jamaican experience, and it must be palatable, and it must be entertainment, refreshing, and at the same time, as you speak to as you prepare to deal with your legacy, leaving your after 4 years of tenure, and still an animal in the industry, you'd want to make sure that you leave your footprint on the sands at time where entertainment is concerned. I hope.
Most definitely, because that's where I started in the industry. So I'd love to see some results there.
Omar, it's such a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for the insight and the information and for sharing and give us an understanding as to where the industry is going as you will face the monster of Corona, but at the same time you're preparing yourself for a brighter future. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Tenny. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So there we have it. We were just talking to on WhatsApp. What can I tell you? The inconvenience as well as convenience of the modern day technology that we have. So that was a good WhatsApp call. Can you imagine? First time you use a call like this and you'd have to pay a fortune through your ears just to be able to facilitate it. Thanks again to Mr. Omar Robinson. Omar Robinson is the president of Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association in Jamaica. And of course, he's a general manager for the Round Hill Hotel. And he was just sharing with us in terms of what's happening with the industry, the preparation. They got hit by this, but then once the thing started to happen, they started to make their preparations, being led by the minister, who unfortunately were not able to get a chance to have a fulsome conversation with, and hope that we'll be able to do this conversation with him next week, as well as with other members of the government and people up there. And we hope that we'll be able to understand what's happening in Trinidad. If we can get the Consul General of Trinidad and Tobago to speak to us sometime next week, so we can understand, or if in Barbados, so we can understand what's going on across the Caribbean. I know we can find, ways to realize that we're fingers of the same hand. And by virtue of that, what affects one affects all. And as he spoke earlier, he says that, when you look at how they're going to have to market the Caribbean now after this disaster, just as if it was one of those major hurricane disasters, you can't just get territorial and say, okay, I'm going to spend this, because, some of them are just small countries, and, you benefit from the marketing of the region rather than just benefit from just as an individual country. Because if a tourists have a choice, they might say, boy, let me go Barbados, Trinidad, or Jamaica. To a lesser extent to some of the other smaller countries, unless it's a cruise shipping. So the smaller islands might benefit from cruise shipping, perhaps a little bit more than the bigger countries where people can fly into and spend some time. But they are making plans, and they're looking at how they can do collaborative work and, do, Caribbean, join up marketing, as it were, to look at their products and to see how they can put it across the world. United States is one of our major markets out there for Jamaica. So they are getting ready and positioning themselves that as soon as this disaster is going behind us, then the minister, who has been a very, as I said, and it is really true, has been a very good brand ambassador for Jamaica and for the Jamaican tourism product. He lives and he breathes it, and kudos must be given to him. And of course, Omar also gave credit to the former Minister of Tourism, who also takes the industry quite seriously and has really been making a tremendous effort to support whatever happens to the country, because at the end of the day, it's not a PNP country, a JLP country, although the PNP would like to tell you that Jamaica is PNP country. But it is Jamaica, it belongs to all of us. And if you're a political representative elected by the people of Jamaica, then irrespective of whether or not your party is in power, you have a responsibility, bound because you're getting a salary and a pay and a commitment of conscience that you should support the industry and to be able to provide the kind of a support which is needed for that. It's like the President Council General that we have. Whether the fact that he was appointed by the Jamaica Labour Party government has nothing to do with his performance and his thing. And I must congratulate him for doing a tremendous job. And I'm just sorry the minister wasn't able to stay with us this afternoon, because I'd asked him to take it to cabinet. That this man must be commended and be recognized for the kind of a work that he's doing. Because not since Ali Cock or Madge Barrett have we had a kind of a persona to be able to be endearing to the wider community of the southern United States, like this Consul General that we have here. Our roots are one away, as everybody tend to say. And when you have a leader who is regarded as one away, then if I'm going to go run election, trust me, one away we win. It's not like Portia was regarded as one away, and say what you will of it. She was Prime Minister of Jamaica. Fine. So we just want to say, those are some of the things that are happening there. Omar spoke to the entertainment industry, as I asked him, because there are concerns about that and how they develop that product and improve on it. And it is not just the entertainers left by themselves to be the fledgling, because if you're not giving them the right kind, and sorry I wasn't able to speak to this, the kind of a price for your product. But you're going to say your product is substandard, but then as time changes, some of these hotels have not increased the price that they pay the performers. And performance and costume is expensive. And you can offer a man $20,000 or $25,000 or $30,000 to come to a 45-minute show, and there's a group of 6, 8, or 10 inside there. They have to charter a minibus to bring. And, they have to buy costumes, and they have to pay the people, because it's a job for them to be able to get paid so that they can take care of their children at the end of the week. So there got to be a new look and new thinking of the industry. And the hotels have a responsibility to their guests, as well as to the community in which they are developing and in which they are existing, to make sure that they help to facilitate and empower the people and a process for the empowerment of not just the community but for the further development of the industry. Because if they don't, then they are going to be isolated, and you have a situation whereby there was one time when the bus couldn't left the airport for pass to go and miss people man the hotel, because flanker decides that the bus now pass. And you're not purporting to support any kind of action of that nature. But you're saying that if there's a great disparity between the palace and the tenement yard, so to speak, then there's going to cause a friction, because people no fool again. At least Jamal opened some people's eyes. So, but there has to be some discussion, open discussion between the hotels. And I know Sandals have been making a tremendous effort to support Flanker, and quite rightly so, because their hotel is dependent on whether or not there is peace in Flanker. So they sponsor the football competition. They do all sorts of things that they support basic school, and they're exercising their social conscience and their support for the wider community. And so too should the rest of the hotels, like the other Rios and the other hotels that are there. you have to give back and give forward and give sideways too, because you're also getting much of the beauty and the natural existence, which is also helped to created and developed by those people who live out there. So the hotels do not exist in and of themselves as an entity. They're over as an island. So they're all part of the, as he said, the symbiotic relationship and how we create that nexus of, for peaceful coexistence and development. Because people don't just want to do a peaceful coexistence alone, but they want for them peace to exist, and they want to move beyond the existing. So, but then, the man investing money, and therefore must be a fair return on his money too. So, speak on one side of the fence. So, but there must be some coming together and so that the whole thing can be of some sensible nature. But within the context of what we're experiencing now, we're speaking about the disaster of this pandemic that is confronting us. The entire community and the entire nation has got to come together, because we have to move the industry forward as quick as is possible so that we can get more tourists coming, more dollars, because the people who live with us in Flanker or they live out in Canterbury, their brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers do have to depend on the hotel for their existence, have to depend on the tourists. The pan chicken man, the cane man, the man who do him look a piece out there. So some of the other little tour guides, formal and informal tour guides. And that's one area that I'm hoping that, and that is going to be plaguing the country as soon as the tourism starts. So the Ministry of Tourism is smart. One of the things they do is to find some of these people who are on the streets and find a way to document them, photograph them, get the fingerprints and stuff, know where they live, but convert some of them into informal tour guides, so that then provide some amount of knowledge of the community and the areas that they'll be able to walk people and take them to. And so therefore they can provide some kind of a meaningful service and they can get a tip. Because the government might not be able to pay them, but if them can get some amount of training and preparation, you will have those who will fall by the cracks, and you still find one and two of them are going like them are going general tourists. You're not going to get away from that. But if you have enough tour guides, if you have enough tourist police out there, or what they call them, tour wardens or whatever, and the municipality have their municipal wardens and so on, and every now and again you pull them in every other week or every 2 weeks so that you can monitor them, check how they're doing, what is the information that and you can use them to help you to get your data together. What is the tourist asking for? What are they saying? What are they looking for? And then what are the concerns that some of them express to you, so that if there needs to be some way to clean up the product, because a tourist says, boy, it's nice, but I don't like how the streets down here are, they're dirty, or some of the shops inside of the people are not courteous, or, we can't find somewhere we can get some good parties, or you'll be able to have a central, place where you can feed that information into, and so therefore that information can be stilled and dealt with in such a way, sanitize it, and then you send it back out so that the people in TPD Co. and those other departments of the tourism product will be able to have this information, valuable information, so that we can find a way to improve on the product. Like I say, you will find those that are going to be able to give you a little bit of problem. But if you can't pay them a salary, if you want to say, all right, you have a t-shirt, you pay half of the money for the t-shirt and we give you half of the money, whatever. Give them a badge. Give each of them a number and a badge. They're informal tour guides, but you have to find a way to create some kind of a way to monitor them, so that if a man commits a thing and the tourist can say, yes, that's the guy I see, because all you have to do is just go on the computer and say, tell me where it is. And not only that, you make them operate in particular zones if you can. It's a challenge, and it might be easier said than done, but it's something to process. Because if you know that some people operate in the bottom road area, some people operate in that area, some people operate in those areas, then, and warn them you don't cross over certain territory if you don't have to, so that the next man, as they say in Jamaica, eat a food for, until such time when you can do something else. But you try to upgrade them, and every now and again when those that are the best of the lot, get improved, and a hotel wants somebody to work as an entertainment coordinator or a lifeguard or a this or that, then you can recommend the TPD could be able to have a kind of a pool from which you can recommend persons to get involved with, whether it's a tour company, it's a hotel, or one of the attractions. And, you show some amount of connections and upward mobility in that regard. So people said, why, I'll do my informal tour guide and I'll hustle because opportunity, they have to be able to do this, I do that, and that sort of thing. And every now and again, those persons who have performed well or the tourists give you a good report about them or something, you recognize them, you know, you put them picture in the mirror. You know, we have to see how we can get everybody to feel important and be a part of the product. Otherwise than that, then, you know, the industry are going to have problems if, you know, make it be more all-inclusive and all-included, you know, where it's concerned. But that's something to be fleshed out by not just a political process, but the municipality and the tourist industry. And as they change hands, as Omar leaves office and they change hands, we want to see which is the new dimension that they'll take it to. Who's the new person? Who are the new persons that are going to be involved? But the corona is on us, and we have to be careful. We have to be safe, if not sorry. Make sure that we wash our hands. Make sure that we get all the various things that are required, that are needed. They're making various arrangements and recommendations in Jamaica as we speak. As you could have seen in the background, there was a press briefing at Jamaica House where the Prime Minister, and one of the good things I must commend the Prime Minister for, he has taken leadership. He has taken the lead in making sure that he heads the group and he's going out there. And him not going out there to talk foolishness. What him not know about, he make the senior medical officer or the head of the medical department speak to that, because that is their competence area. The matter that local government is doing to help those people who are vulnerable and those people are on the streets and those persons who need help and are more likely to be to get affected by disease more than others. The local government minister is stepping out there. Granted, there's an election in the year too, you know. All of this is not happening in a vacuum, you know. Understand me. And don't be naive or fool. We understand that. Just like in this country too. There is an election. It's 3 trillion that them approve the budget for now, you know. Chuck Schumer and the rest of the people them fight the whole night last night. Because they now get left out of the thing. Because if Trump and the people are going to get the whole of the money for him and the big friend them. And them not have some money out there for see the ground. The Democrats are going to have problem. So them go inside there and then take off them gloves and say, listen, think about come now, come test. But it's supposed to be all to the benefit of the nation. How they are going to get mileage out of this politically, because no politicians never usually do anything totally innocently and lily white and pure. They all have their agenda, whether it's hidden or otherwise, you know, because they like to be in office and they have they want to stay in the political power. Look at those who are getting the benefit of knowing that things are going to happen and them start to buy up stocks or start to sell or do this other thing. You know, so it's never usually, you know, but they say, well, what? Fish not breed in pure water. And criminality not breeding up pure water either, you know. It has to be murky. But then what can I tell you? It's part of the dynamics of the world that we live in and the various things that we have to confront on a daily basis, you know. And even at home, your children, if they figure say you're a strict parent, your children at home will plot to find a way to circumvent you. It's the nature of man to circumvent the constituted norms and the laws. So, but with that kind of level of consciousness, then you see how you manage and how you carry on. But we want to say thanks to Mr. Omar Robinson for, you know, sharing with us and, you know, speaking so eloquently and in such detail and affectionately about the industry which he's a part of and has been a part of for the last 30 years. And, you know, much credit to him. And he has been around for, he will be around for another 3 months. And let me hope that the new person take over, bring the same kind of a dynamism and leadership you had. Mr. Wayne Cummings, who apparently handed it over to him, and then he's not going to be handing over to somebody else. And we want to see the industry develop and grow. I am not sure that we need to have another hotelier as the head of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. I want to see somebody from a transport sector or somebody from one of those restaurateurs take, you know, that kind of a role. But then, you know, politics is it. The politics behind that we'll see how that evolve and how that get to develop. But we hope that, you know, somebody in transport or, you know, from Airbnb or whatever else, because that's another sector that we want to look at at another time to see what's happening there and how that's developing and the various persons who are benefiting or not benefiting and how it's spreading itself across the board and, you know, how that support and how these hotels support those persons who are in Airbnb when you're overfull and you might want to be able to find places to put some of your guests and so on. And one thing that we never talk about is how you get to open the door at the hotel to make some of the people them come out on the street, come experience the product. And I hope as the thing dies down, you don't find people just come and just go into the hotel and you create a palace and a world for them there, but then they're going to say, oh, the virus is still outside. Because, you know, you have some hotels, you know, And some of the organizations, you know, that them tell the people, them even some of the cruise ship them, they tell the people, so when you go to Jamaica or to some of these Caribbean countries, do not come off the vessel, stay on the vessel, or just get into the bus that is to take you to the attraction and back. And tell life and the people in the country. They do it in Montego Bay. I was in Montego Bay when tourists comes off the ship and tell you that they were told not to disembark or to walk in the town of Falmouth. It was said, and I challenged them to come tell me otherwise because the tourists them say it. Tourists said they were told. But then that's another story. And they can't assume because they assume they did not get nothing. So what am I going to do? Eh? What can I do? Fine. But we're just saying that we must be conscious and be aware of some of these things. That these things do happen. You know? But like the Father said, the wheat and the tares will come together till the day of harvest. This has been 10 Miller Live coming to you from Flexx FM online radio. 10 Miller Live on Facebook. 10 Miller Live _ 10 Miller _ live on Instagram, and of course 10 Miller Live on YouTube. We ask you to always like and share the page with our friends. We have been kind of hampered by virtue of the weather, the environment that we're now exposed with, being experiencing with the coronavirus. You can't get to move as much as you wanted to go places where you want to bring the kind of programs and discussion to the table. But we hope that we'll be able to improve on the quality of the discussion. We'll be having more programs during the week on Flexx with us, as well as on 10 Miller Live platform across the board. More discussions and more entertaining stuff. We're going to still bring back, or we can get a performer to punctuate our discussion with a nice performance, to be able to make it a little bit more interesting and less boring, rather than to listen to watch my tired face and to listen to me run up my mouth. Just because you're not inside there, you don't tell me how my mouth smells, don't it? Me say, my producer over there, so fan him face. What can I tell you? These people? But I'm still polite and nice, and I'm going to be still respectful and nice, but pump them in their mouth anytime. But listen, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. I know you have other choices, and I am privileged and pleased when you choose to tune in on your phone, on your laptop, or on your computer to tune in to 10 Miller Live at any time at all. Enough respect to Omari, the outstanding performing gospel artist. He has a new video out and he has some more music coming there. And Omari, I am hoping, because when them call you for the Grammy, no fee say you're going to left me on the flight. Me I got did there. For see when you collect the Grammy. Nigel Blair, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Patrick, enough respect to you, sir. And all the members of the Flexx family and the 10 Miller Life family, to my charming wife and my daughter, and all the people whose shoulders I'm standing on to bring to you this program and this discussion this afternoon. Stay tuned for next Monday, when we hopefully should be speaking with our Jamaica Consulate General. And of course, on Wednesday, we hopefully, again, you can only say hope because Corona determines your actions. We speak with the Minister of Health or the Senior Medical Officer out of Jamaica, and from, of course, out of Trinidad. And we're trying to also, if say we can get somebody from Barbados, Iraqi, or Tourist Board to speak to us sometime during the week next week. We can only hope and aspire towards it. The dynamics of the time and the circumstances of issues determine what happens. So until I join you next week, Monday, God's willing, and Wednesday, you sleep the sleep of the just, free from all your cares and sorrows. And as your night turns to day, as indeed it must, I know you'll wake to a brighter tomorrow. Pray, wash your hands, wash your foot, take care of your picnic them, walk good.
seeds are planted, and I will not hush, and I'll make some noise, giving so much, so I will rejoice. I am here, yes I am. Tell everyone, he's got a plan. I am here, you are here, yes I am, yes I am. Tell everyone, that yes you can. If you ever run into trouble and your world looks like it will crumble, remember he's never too far. Know you can count on the Lord, and all your enemies will stumble. You will rise up and they will humble. He will correct all your flaws. Just put your hands to the stars and say, I am here. Yes, I am. Tell everyone, he's got a plan. I am here, you are here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Tell everyone that yes, you can. It don't matter what you did and done. It don't matter where you're coming from. It don't matter what you're going through. Turn to him and he will turn to you. 'Cause I need a healing, and you need a healing. The world needs a healing, so come for your healing. I am here, yes I am. Tell everyone, he's got a plan. I am here, you are here, yes I am, yes I am. Tell everyone that yes you can.
Last year you worked around the clock to ensure that this tax season you see a return that may help you to purchase that car that you're longing for, or help you to pay down that interest rate on that mortgage. Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they call that insane. You know what else is insane? All-in-one multi-tax services. All-in-one multi-tax services help you get the most of your return, serving the 52 state nationwide. For information and direction, you can contact Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. That's 754-204-1610. Or stop on by their office at 3888 West Commercial Boulevard in the city of Tamarack. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC gives you the best of your return, offering services that goes above and beyond. So don't hesitate to call Marilyn Johnson at 754-204-1610. All-in-one multi-tax services LLC. Don't forget to ask about our advance loans.
Yo, the one from Martin. Tell her the truth, my name never talk too long. Let's listen to the song. Yes, sir. First love one my last, I'm a grandmother, Lord, and my brother dead. Over the same yard, my little niece, I'm an if you have to run out of the yard for your face. Them drama, you know easy, none at all. Right now, me tired, to see the mother in my ball. As the day goes by, me see another youth of all. I know it's just me every time I get a call. Them not stop put AK over the wall, me sing all out. Put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Oh Lord, put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Let me tell you how it starts operation. From the old politician, them a treat we like some alien with them big smile on TV when our life just starts. Love get a youth down a station. Me have to make it one day. Me a write 2 songs cause poverty have me a fight too long. We get a youth now move from Tivoli go straight on a juice down. Put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Oh Lord, put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. First love one my last, I'm a grandmother, Lord, and my brother dead. Over the same yard, my little niece, I'm an if you have to run out of the yard for your face. Them drama, you know easy, none at all. Right now, me tired to see the mother in my ball. As the day goes by, me see another youth of all. I know it's just me every time I get a call. Them not stop put AK over the wall, me sing all out. Put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Oh Lord, put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Let me tell you how it starts operation. From the old politician, them a treat we like some alien with them big smile on TV when our life just starts. Love get a youth down a station. Me have to make it one day. Me a write 2 songs cause poverty have me a fight too long. We get a youth now move from Tivoli go straight on a juice down. Put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid. Oh Lord, put a little better on our side. Things like them make people paranoid. Me sing paranoid.